4 terabytes. Try to picture it. That's the weight of an entire library of secrets. A company's entire digital memory, compressed, packaged, and waiting. Now, imagine that digital vault not locked away, but sitting exposed on a virtual street corner, completely free for the taking. This is the story of a configuration error so simple, it threatened to unravel the digital foundation of one of the world's most powerful financial custodians. The company is Ernst Young. You know them as EY, one of the big 4 accounting and professional services firms. Their name evokes trust, auditing, global operations, and sensitive financial records. Now imagine that giant standing in broad daylight with the door wide open. What plunged EY into this nightmare is a common scenario, a cloud migration gone wrong. The platform behind the exposure was Microsoft SQL Server, while the data was stored and exposed on Microsoft Azure. Here's how it went down. A backup file, a full database export, ended up in what should have been a locked storage container, but instead was accessible by anyone on the internet. Let's break this down. Microsoft SQL Server creates backups in a BAK format, a snapshot of the entire database. Inside, you'll find everything like schemas, user data, authentication tokens, API keys, and even service account credentials. In short, it holds everything the system needs to run, and often much more than it should. In EY's case, the backup weighed in at roughly 4 terabytes. That size alone hints at just how big an environment was involved. Millions of records, perhaps an entire division's worth of data. Now, how did it end up exposed? During the migration process, data was being moved from on-premises or legacy systems into Azure. One step is to export the database backup to a blob storage container, Microsoft Azure's own version of a digital storage bucket. Permissions must then be set. Private, internal access only. But in this case, the container was left publicly accessible. A simple misset access control list turned the secure bucket into a public one. Neo Security, a cybersecurity firm, discovered the mistake while running passive scans of internet-facing systems. They issued a request to fetch metadata and found a blob listing 4 terabytes in size. The file extension, BAK, immediately revealed it was a full SQL Server backup. A quick check confirmed it was unencrypted. Because the file required no login, anyone could have accessed it. Imagine you've got a safe inside a vault. It holds your customer records, network diagrams, audit logs, everything. Now imagine you leave the door open, stick a label on it saying, "Free to a good home," and post the code publicly. That's essentially what happened. Why does this matter? Because access to a full database backup isn't just about data, it's about power. Whoever holds that file has the structure and content of your systems, potential passwords, tokens, and internal architecture. With that, they can impersonate users, copy systems, or pivot into deeper networks. Finding a 4 terabyte SQL backup on the open internet is like finding the master blueprint and the keys to a vault lying on the sidewalk. And in the world of automated scanning, the question isn't if someone finds it, but how many and how fast. EY said the issue was isolated to an acquired company, not linked to its global systems, and that no client or personal data was impacted. But 4 terabytes file exposed for an unknown period, hours, days, maybe longer, is a massive risk window. Any actor scanning Azure storage containers could have downloaded it in full. If attackers did, they could reuse API keys, impersonate service accounts, deploy ransomware, or harvest internal data. For any organization, this is a worst-case scenario. Now, how do you prevent this? How do you make sure a single mistake doesn't open your vault to the world? It starts with awareness. Every organization needs to know exactly what it owns in the cloud. Every storage container, blob bucket, and backup file. If a system can export data or create backups online, you must know where that data goes and who can reach it. Your storage permission should always default to private or internal use only. Public access must be the rare exception, never the rule, and only after it's been reviewed and justified. On Azure, that means checking your storage account settings for allow public access and turn it off globally if it isn't absolutely required. It also means seeing your infrastructure the way attackers do. Use automated scanning and asset discovery tools to continuously test your own network, your cloud space, and your backup repositories. Criminals are scanning day and night. You have to match that energy with your own visibility. And even if a file slips through, encryption should be your final shield. Backups must be encrypted at rest and in transit, so that even if they're exposed, they're useless without the keys. Tools like Azure Key Vault can manage those keys securely and rotate them automatically. Keep an eye on the size and behavior of your backups. Any unusually large export or file appearing in a public container should immediately raise an alarm. Set alerts for unexpected transfers or permission changes, so you can act before someone else does. Control who has power inside your systems. Give service accounts only the access they truly need. The less they can touch, the smaller the damage if one of them is ever compromised. Run regular audits during every migration from on-premises to the cloud. Build checkpoints into the process. Verify storage locations, test permissions, and confirm access controls before a new environment goes live. And finally, plan for exposures the same way you plan for intrusions. Not every incident starts with a hacker. Some begin with a misconfiguration. A fast, trained response team can make the difference between an embarrassing mistake and a devastating breach. In EY's case, it took a week to contain and investigate the exposure, and every hour that passed increased the risk. Time is always the enemy in moments like these. If you're using Azure, take this as your reminder. Disable public access by default, enable Defender for storage, turn on logging, encrypt every backup, and review every permission like your data depend on it, because it does. And if you want to go deeper into protecting your cloud environment, check out Jonathan Edwards, also known as the Bearded 365 Guy, on YouTube. His videos walk you through securing your Microsoft 365 account step by step. For more on Azure and enterprise security, explore the official Microsoft security channel on YouTube. It's packed with practical tutorials, real incidents, and the latest defense updates from the source itself. So as you walk away from this story, remember, the door to your vault doesn't lock itself. Someone has to set it, test it, and watch it. The bots are already scanning. The risk isn't theoretical. The risk is real. Sci-Flix, digital mysteries, real stories.